the plan is to take the beloved toy line from the early 2000s, Bionicle, and push the design of them to a new level, because the limitations of the time, or I should say the limitations of the medium itself, is that it was a plastic toy and it's a certain size, right? And there's a budget on how many parts you can have and how detailed they can be. Also, the movies at the time were limited to the, of course, the budget of the movie, but also the limitations of CG at the time and what it could do. So what I want to do is I want to take like Roodaka, a fan favorite, and let's see if we can push the design as far as we can possibly go, basically. And to do that, we still have to be contained in the space of the Bionicle style, which is very specific. It's very weird and eerie and surreal in a way. And if we go beyond that, then it's not going to look like Bionicle anymore. So we have to sort of keep ourselves in this style, and to do that, we have to figure out what makes the Bionicle style so specific and so unique, right? And what I found was one shape language that is very common in Bionicle is the grills. Like I did some drawing here. You can see you have it here on the head, you have it here on the body, on the sword, on the foot, also here. And the grills always go in the opposite direction of what the form is going in. So if we have a leg, all of the grills are going to go like that, right? There's no grills going in this direction. And then the second thing that makes up the Bionicle is the negative shapes or holes, I should say. And this you could argue is part of the limitations of the medium, where you would save on material, on plastic, if you like made a bunch of holes everywhere and everything in all the molds. But regardless, it's a very iconic look. You have these like small holes throughout the whole body, which makes the silhouette very distinct. Here's another example of just how many grills there were everywhere, especially like around the Web of Shadows, and that mixed with these like cool organic shapes, and again very thin limbs and all of this. And this also teaches us what not to do. And unfortunately, the example of what not to do is the second generation of the failed relaunch of Bionicle made in 2017, I think, where you can see how all of this that was so iconic is now lost, and you have these very boxy, thick shapes everywhere. They were going for something completely different, of course, but it's nowhere close to what this was, and so this is what we're going after, and this is what we're not. Example of what not to do. What I've done so far is block out the basic shapes of the body. I also drew a silhouette sketch to have as a reference. This is hopefully not the final design, but it's just like getting an idea of how I can push it. So as I'm blocking out the head, I got an idea to do something crazy with it. So I really liked in the first movie where these guys could open up their face and you can see the organic creature inside. So I'm thinking of splitting the face plates like this, so it can open up and then it's gonna be, you can see what she actually looks like inside the mask. That's the plan, at least. So I thought, yeah, they could like open up so she could like do repairs or switch out the crystal or something. And at first I was just gonna do so they're symmetrical, like the same thickness here. But then I looked up some reference of actual engineering, and you can see here that I don't know exactly why this is engineered like this, but I'm pretty sure it's for a specific reason. They wouldn't just make this bottom hinge thicker for no apparent reason. So even though I don't know anything about engineering, I can like look at this and kind of trick my design to look more realistic by borrowing elements from real life like this. And I'm starting to lose hope a little bit in this project, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but first I just want to show the workflow for this. So each individual part is, the geometry is very simple, and then I'm using Boolean shapes. to sculpt and add detail. But yeah, it's just a lot of work and a struggle to fill out the form. And I know we said there was going to be a lot of holes, but there is such a thing as too many holes, especially with the idea here where she opens up, where it's just empty and we have to fill it with something. I'm working in a separate file right now for just clarity and building parts. So I made a hand with the same Boolean workflow, and I made some other parts, and I made a Viscerac. Why? Because I got this idea for filling out the holes in the chest area. So now when we open up, there's little Viscerac babies holding the chest area, which I thought was pretty cool. Which also makes it so we can have more moving parts like this. And we also have the hands now, which looks like this at the moment. They're pretty big, but the overall silhouette becomes so menacing when the hands are huge, you know? Also, I was struggling a bit with colors because I feel like the original design feels very uneven, where you have mostly black and then you have these silvery parts and then the blue, of course. But the blue is like only here and just a tiny bit on the arm, maybe. And then the silver is just like very distracting in the chest and the jaw part. So I was playing around a bit with like where to put the silver and where to put the black and if I should introduce any other colors. And I think I'm gonna go into this direction. This feels still true to the original design, but it's a bit more balanced, I feel, with the silver and the blue, and then a third color which I introduced to showcase detail, which is this deep red. I also made like a little geometry node setup for the pipes here. Very simple. But the point was to be able to control like the thickness of them and the riffles. And I'm unsure if we have a value here where they're all the same, they're all unified like this. It looks more plastic and it looks more Lego-ish. But if we have a uneven value, then we get something very interesting, more organic like this, which could look more realistic. But I'm not sure which direction I want to go right now, so we'll see. So we fast forward a little bit, and now we have some textures going on, and I really wanted it to be looking beaten up and really rough in every way possible. So you can tell like the metal is greasy, it's scratched up, it's also got some rust in some places. Almost like she's like an old tractor that hasn't been used in a while and has been sitting out on a farm. That's kind of the direction I'm leaning in. So now we're technically far enough in the process that we could go ahead and render this. She's now rigged and posed and lit. I also got the idea to add some spider webs that are also rigged. So when she opens up, it reveals even more like strings attached to everything. There's just something about this where the silhouette of her, it is cool and all, but I'm not really getting that presence. And I don't really know. I have one idea how to fix that. It's gonna go outside a little bit of the source material, but I feel like it's a cool idea, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So here was the idea to add a cape, and I feel like it did a lot to give her a more royal feel, but also fill out the silhouette. And I think now we're ready for some renders.